In this segment, Amy and I are talking about the all-time political all-star team from Florida, the great, warm, touristy Sunshine State of Florida. In the 20th century, as it was growing, it was a very small state, of course, pre-air conditioning, but after air conditioning and expansion has grown so much. So they have 12 members of Congress on the all-time team. That will, of course, increase as various censuses come along and that changes. But right now, still sort of a smaller state, all things considered. Had a number of important Democrat elected officials who all seem to rotate between being governor or senator and back to governor in the post-World War II era. The all-time governor from Florida is Spessard Holland, who served a few terms as governor and also served in the United States Senate. The all-time lieutenant governor is Buddy MacKay, who was the longtime lieutenant governor for various governors in Florida. Briefly served himself as governor after I believe Bob Graham left office, although I should double check that. He did serve, though, as governor briefly, but he's mostly here during his time in Florida, the Florida legislature, and time as lieutenant governor of Florida. Other Florida elected officials statewide include Attorney General Park Trammell, who, like Spessard Holland and others, served multiple terms in a higher office, governor and senator. The Secretary of State is, of course, the very famous, thanks to the voting dispute, Bush versus Gore 2000 election, Katherine Harris. Not just picked for that, though, did also serve a few terms as a congresswoman from Florida after that. Bill Nelson is the treasurer of the state of Florida and later long-term United States senator from Florida, and I believe also a governor of Florida. And then the auditor comptroller, Florida, another Democrat, William Blockson. So senators from Florida sort of fit the whole Spessard Holland, Park Trammell field, that many of them were sort of in that same style, moderate to conservative Democrats of a more modern era who served in multiple offices. Bob Graham and Lawton Chiles are the two United States senators from Florida, both of whom also served as governor of Florida. So that is sort of the trend emerging in modern post-World War II Florida Democrats, getting a small number of people and then just rotating them with their seniority and influence. The Florida House of Representatives membership starts off with Charles E. Bennett, one of the longest serving people from Florida. Also Claude Pepper, who's famous for his disputes with the Reagan administration. He was a very long-serving member of Congress, and he's one of the few people who went reverse on this list. He was first elected to the United States Senate, where he served a term, and then was defeated because for Florida as a southern state in the 50s and 60s, Claude Pepper was much more liberal than the standard voting electorate. So he was called Red Pepper in a famous campaign for a nickname that stuck, questioning his devotion to anti-communism. And he lost his re-election to the Senate, but a short term thereafter was elected got himself in one of the more liberal areas of Florida, on the coast, the Gold Coast north of Miami, and was a longtime congressman from that area for many decades. Other Florida congressmen include Dante Fascell, Democrat, and Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, one of the Republicans from Florida on this list.
Yes, not only have I had the honor to meet her myself, but she is also the first Hispanic and Cuban American woman elected to Congress.
I don't think she's in Congress any longer. I'd hate to be wrong. I think she resigned recently, but she served a very, very long and distinguished career representing South Florida and the Cuban American community. Other members of Congress in Florida include Alcee Hastings, who was a federal judge, got impeached and removed, and took his revenge by then getting elected to Congress and being a member of Congress for a long, long time. Connie Mack III, the descendant of Connie Mack, the famous baseball owner and manager, who was also a congressman and a senator from Florida for a while. Bill Young, longtime Republican congressman. You go back to early Florida history, you have Edward Cabell, one of the most prominent Whigs from Florida, and really probably the only prominent Whig from Florida. Bob Sykes, a Democrat from the Panhandle, who was a very long-serving and influential member of the Armed Services Committee, who, if memory serves, was voted out of office after some related scandals and the like. And then Josiah Walls, is one of the Republicans from Florida.
He is, and not only is he one of the Republicans on the list, but he is one of the 2 black Reconstruction era Republicans on this list.
Just to know, there were more than 2
Yes.
who were elected to Congress and the Senate, but both Reconstruction Republicans in the Senate have made the list, and we've found 2 of the more influential ones who deserve to be in this House, in the House of Representatives as well. And finally, the last 2 members of the House of Representatives from Florida include one who I admit I bended the rules a little bit for, David Levy Yulee, the first Jewish American in the Congress. He actually, this is my rule bending, I admit. He served in the House of Representatives as a delegate from Florida before it was a state. And then he was a member of the Senate from Florida after Florida became a state. So he never served in the House of Representatives while Florida was a state. I'm sort of saying his service as a delegate in the House is enough. So I admit he was a Democrat and a leader of Florida as they seceded as part of the Confederacy. So I bet the rules a little bit for him, but I think that's acceptable. And finally, the final member of Congress from Florida is George Smathers, a Democrat, longtime politician there. Perhaps best known as, and I'm looking for the ways to put this properly, as a running around buddy with President John F. Kennedy during Kennedy's time in Congress and the Senate and as president. Smathers was quite the playboy himself. It took something to be John F. Kennedy's running around buddy when it comes to those mutual hobbies and interests that they had at the time. But they were very close friends and were running around quite a lot in less than admirable circumstances and attempts, particularly for Kennedy, who was married at the time. I don't believe Smathers was married for much of this. I could stand corrected on that, but alas, that is perhaps what Smathers is most famous for in American political history. And that is your all-time political all-star team for Florida.